Hello and welcome to a special edition of To The Point. My guest today is a very unusual personality. A former Major General of the Pakistan Army, he's been a great advocate of peace between India and Pakistan. He's one of those rare generals in Pakistan who have dared to openly argue for reconciliation with India. What is remarkable is that he did so even while he was in service. He has been critical of the nuclear competition between the two countries, criticized the Kargil incursions by Pakistan from within Pakistan, and even wrote a book, India and Pakistan, The Costs of Conflict and the Benefits of Peace, published by Oxford University Press, Karachi in 2001. My guest is none other than the redoubtable Major General Mahmud Ali Durrani, former National Security Advisor of Pakistan and also former Pakistani Ambassador to the United States. A highly respected friend of India. I have immense pleasure in welcoming you to our studios, General Durrani.
Thank you very much.
Let me begin by asking you a few personal questions, if you'll permit me to do so.
Yes, sir.
You've been an advocate of peace with India even while you were serving in the army. How difficult or easy has it been for you to argue for reconciliation between India and Pakistan? I know you've been doing it for 2 decades.
Yes. Actually, when I started, I made up my mind long ago, when I was probably a brigadier, that war is not the answer between India and Pakistan. We have to have peace. When I started this track too, even my family said कि यार तुम पागल हो हिंदुस्तान के साथ सुलह ये कैसे हो सकता है मैंने कहा यार give me some alternative. So it was a little problematic. I remember one of the anchors in Pakistan, she said, you are a pretty normal general, what happened to you? So obviously there was a level of criticism that I had to face.
So what happened to you? I mean, I remember coming to Pakistan the first time in the late 90s, and you introduced me to your wife and said, Fatma, look at Bharat, he's an Indian. Look carefully, he doesn't have any horns. So how difficult was it those days?
Yes, as I said, initially it was a problem. Even my own family was wondering, what am I doing? I'm being stupid totally.
Yeah.
But I think with time, even they have transformed and they support me now and they realize how important it is for Pakistan to have good, friendly relations with India.
So did it surprise your peers and your friends and your family that this great advocate of friendship with India went on to become the National Security Advisor of Pakistan?
Yeah, I don't know how all these things happened. They're all accidents of history as far as I'm concerned.
What is the sentiment in Pakistan today about India? I mean, I'm sure people don't think Indians have horns or have tails. And what is the potential for revitalizing ties with India?
Well, to be quite blunt and frank, I think there is a feeling there that maybe Modi has horns. But
you mean Prime Minister Narendra
Prime
Modi?
Minister Narendra Modi has horns, that he's a super hawk and that he doesn't want peace with Pakistan. This is the kind of sentiment that is there.
That's because they don't know him as yet, I suppose.
One, I think because of his previous appointment and what happened in his state, I think that has more to do with it. But since I've come to Delhi for the last 2-3 days, I've realized, no, this man is not the stereotype vision that we have of him. He's a very dynamic person, he's a competent person, and he's a doer.
Now, let me ask you something different. How has Pakistan and its attitude to terrorism changed after the attack on the military school in Peshawar on December 16, 2014?
Bharat, I think this really hit us, this attack on innocent children. And I think for the first time that the nation has been galvanized, the government has been, they did it, but I think they were pushed also by the public to, enough is enough. Stop doing this, let's get rid of this menace. I think there's a very strong sentiment across the board.
Across the board? Because
yes.
I've heard you speak in Delhi where you talked of the usual apologists for terrorism. So who are these usual apologists for terrorism and how has their attitude changed?
Well, there are some politico-religious parties, I don't want to name people, by and large they are the people who have made an enemy in their mind of India. So they normally say that, no, these are our own people and we should talk to them and we should win them over rather than killing them. They were even against operations in FATA against the terrorists. So this time when there was this all-parties conference in Peshawar the day after the killing, everybody, including the apologists and worst people, they said this is not acceptable.
That's very good. But these apologists for terrorism, people in India believe, some of them have often got sustenance from various social sources. They may be in the civil society, but some of them, people suspect, were also in the Pakistani establishment. Will that continue, or is that perception wrong?
Bharat, I will not speak of the past. There could have been, but today I'm almost certain, 100% certain, that there is no support from the establishment of the government and in any form. You see, it's a very large nation, and you will still have people, these are Pakistanis. So you'll still have a large number of people who will support them, but the overwhelming majority wants to get rid of them.
Yeah. What would you say to those strategic experts in India who claim that the DNA of the deep state in Pakistan can never change, that while we may see some action against those terrorists who are targeting Pakistan, but we will not see action against those who target India?
I think, first of all, I think the initial question is wrong. There's nothing wrong with the DNA. The DNA of a Pakistani is the same, almost the same as the DNA of an Indian.
Of the deep state, the state establishment.
Yeah, but establishment is people. I mean, they're not animals.
Metaphorically speaking.
I know, but I am making it physical that there is no such DNA. There are strong opinions, long-held opinions. I think we've gone through so much turmoil, so much killing, and we have realized that even if we did support this menace, it's not a profitable business. And I don't think anybody in so-called deep state supports them anymore.
At one point, low-intensity warfare against India seemed to be Pakistan's preferred option because there was, people say, no parity in conventional war, and nuclear war seemed like an impossibility. Nobody wants to go. It's only a threat that you hold over the other. Yeah. Now, would you say that this strategy has drastically changed today?
I think this strategy has failed. This low-intensity war, if people say that what was happening in Kashmir was low-intensity war, we were trying to bleed India. What has happened? India is the same size. We are divided in two. So it's if we did it, even it's not worked.
But has this realization dawned on the Pakistani establishment also, or only on a few wise people like yourself?
No. It's a broad view. I came here in 2011. And at that time, I particularly made this point of telling the people of India that everybody is on board for peace with India.
That was when you were the National Security Advisor?
No, after that.
After that?
After that.
Okay. Now, Hussain Haqqani, who followed you as Ambassador of Pakistan to the US, a few days ago wrote an article in the Indian press where he says Pakistan's quest for parity with India is a flawed doctrine. That what Pakistan ought to be looking for is actually security in its relationship with India. Now, do you agree with him? And if you agree with him, what are the implications of not seeking parity but seeking security in the relationship?
Bharat, it's a very simple equation. There was a time, maybe in the 50s or so, where we could have thought of parity. I think you look at the graph, the economic graph of the two countries, and you see where India is going, where Pakistan is going, and that alone will convince any rational person that parity is not the answer. It is, we absolutely, deep down, even the deep state, as you call it, they want security. They don't want to really fight. They want security, and they're worried that if they don't have parity, they will not have security. But essentially, their demand is security.
So what does it mean in terms of Pakistan's foreign policy and Pakistan's attitude towards India?
I think it will strengthen people like me who want peace with India, who want a good relationship, that we develop stakeholders in both countries who want peace. And I think there are a lot of stakeholders already, but this needs to be further expanded, the stakeholders of peace. And when you have stakeholders on both sides, like business, for example, then the possibility of fighting is limited and reduced.
We're going to come to business and trade in a minute, but let me ask you something else. I mean, we all lament, people like yourself and, others in India, that, this dialogue between India and Pakistan has been suspended. But what should be the basis of reviving this dialogue? What does Pakistan need to do, and what does India need to do so that we can have a sustained dialogue between these two neighbors?
I think that's a very good question, and that, from my point of view, goes to the heart of the issue today. I think that we have tried all kind of approaches of talks, and by and large, in the end, they have failed. What is required now is for the top political leaders to get together or use a back channel or whatever they like and establish some ground rules for talks and agree on some very broad strategic perimeters. They do that, and then the foreign offices, the commerce office or whatever, everybody else can then act on those, expand those, improve that. But the bottom line that I'm making is that there is a need for the top leadership to sit down and say, where do we want to go?
But this has been done before. It was done in Lahore by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. But down below, down the line, people didn't follow what they were saying because Kargil was happening at the same time.
Yes, no, this can't happen. This can't happen that if there is that political will at that place and then we have a event like Kargil, it can't move on. So I think right now the difference between the time of Kargil and today is because we've been so mauled by terrorism that everybody is on board. So I don't think there will be other events like Kargil. Of course, my friend Musharraf has a different story, why he did Kargil or if he actually did Kargil, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We need to take a break at this point. We'll be back again with this interesting discussion in a bit. Stay with us. Don't go away. Welcome back. I'm in conversation with Major General Mahmud Ali Durrani, former National Security Advisor of Pakistan. General Durrani, do you not think that if Pakistan wants to keep the possibility of a dialogue open with India, its leaders must speak more carefully and slightly differently? I'm referring, for example, to the statements of Sartaj Aziz, his negative comments after US President Barack Obama's visit to India, where he reacted by saying that the operationalization of the Indo-US civil nuclear deal would have detrimental impact on nuclear deterrence and overall stability in South Asia. He also opposed India's possible membership of the nuclear suppliers group. So why, this attitude of beggar your neighbor, saying that, again, trying to say that put us on the same pedestal, we should be equal again. Are these statements necessary because they're unnecessarily provocative?
Well, I would say that such statements are unnecessary from both sides.
Okay.
Even your leadership and some of your people, so political analysts, and they make such statements. We need to put Pakistan in their place and so on. So both sides should be careful. But I think what is needed is an agreement at the very top to start these, and then you don't bother about these little blips.
But Sartaj Aziz is at the very top, isn't he?
Yeah, he's almost there.
But not quite. Anyway. While, many in Pakistan claim that India should give greater space to the elected political leadership, give them, enough space to operate, legitimize them, because it's the politicians who have been at the forefront of wanting good relations with India. Then how is it that civilian leaders end up making the kind of statements that Sartaj Aziz has made? Because this statement has not come to the military, which should be hawkish.
No. Yes.
So why is this? How do you explain this?
I can't explain it. I can only say is that maybe he was expressing his personal views, and he said this.
In the position that he is,
agree.
He has no personal views. All his views are really, if they are in public, they are Pakistan's views.
Bharat, I respect him immensely. He's a very good man. I've known him for ages, since I was a
we
young
also
officer.
respect him. He enjoys tremendous amount of respect even in this
country.
country.
You didn't let me finish.
Please.
But I'm amazed what he said. I am surprised too. What happened to him? There is no good explanation for that.
Okay.
But the point that I'm making is that neither should make such statements. And if such statements are made, we should not bother about this. We should forge ahead.
Okay. Now, let me take an issue which is on top of the agenda in Pakistan. Whenever I go to Pakistan, Pakistan television is full of it. That is the water issue. And if an Indian goes there, he thinks that, this is a big propaganda issue. What are Pakistanis going on about? What India is doing on the rivers that actually have been given to Pakistan under the Indus Water Treaty. We claim that the Indus Water Treaty is the only treaty between India and Pakistan which has worked through thick and thin, irrespective of what happened, wars or peace or whatever. then why does, and this is really, you must explain to our reader, why does Pakistan oppose every little run-of-the-river project which India wants to build on these rivers, which then goes to arbitration, and invariably the judgment comes in India's favor? So is it, because a lot of people have said to me, oh, they do it because they don't want electricity for Kashmiris, they don't want prosperity in Kashmir, because then it gives government of India a handle to say, we're working for the welfare of the Kashmiris, and look at what Pakistan is doing. So it actually becomes counterproductive with the Kashmiris in India.
No, this is a fear which has crept into our people and our establishment, that India has the wherewithal to stop our water at certain points in time when we need it badly. I think this happened first time that when Baglayar was constructed and it was being filled, I think the bureaucracy here just shut the water coming to Pakistan because they wanted to fill the dam, period. But it was at a very critical time for our crops. So all the hawks, he said, here you are. India has done it again. They will do it every time. They have control of our waters. So it is more of that fear. And our experts need to talk and reassure each other. In all fairness, I must say, I came here as the NSA and I met your then Prime Minister. And he didn't make many points. He was a quiet man. He says...
this is Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Yes, Manmohan Singh. He said, Durrani Sahab, when you go back home, please tell your leadership and your people that we are not going to take a drop of your water. So I understand that. But it is, an event which, as I said, was not by design to punish Pakistan or anything. They wanted to fill the lake, the new lake, for a certain event. And this happened. So there's a fear that you have the capacity to control our water. So therefore, everything is misunderstood.
But it's been suggested by people who want good relations with India and Pakistan that one way of getting over this fear is to actually build joint dams on these rivers and share the electricity and the water. Yes. Because on your side, the drops are not such that you can build big hydroelectric dams. They can be built only on the Indian side of Kashmir.
Exactly.
So why don't you propose that?
Yes, in fact, this proposal was made to me by the current governor of your side of Kashmir, which we call as occupied Kashmir. And
we call your Kashmir occupied, but leave that aside. But I know that Governor N.N. Vora is a good friend of yours.
Oh, yes, he's a good friend. And he said, I'm sorry, I'm going to say something in Punjabi, because he speaks with me in Punjabi. He said, Durrani ji, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋ ਕਸ਼ਮੀਰੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਕਰੀਏ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰੋ ਕਸ਼ਮੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵੀ ਹੋਵੇ.
So now tell us in English also.
Okay, you want translation? I met the governor of Kashmir many years back, the present governor, and he said that, Mahmud, we need to, what he was essentially saying is we need to go beyond the Indus Water Treaty, a kind of an Indus Water Treaty 2 or modified, where we are into joint projects. And I think he had a point of view, and I respect that.
But it's desirable.
It is desirable. That
is it possible just now?
Not today. Okay. I mean, we need to do a little walking before we start running.
Okay. But let me move on to something which is a huge sore point in India, which is the LOC, the line of control and international border violations in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, as Indians, we say, if India wanted to create a two-front situation for Pakistan, they could have done it much earlier. And if it is happening because of this government, that also doesn't stand to reason. Because after all, Narendra Modi, the first thing he did was invited Nawaz Sharif and other SAARC leaders. And within a day of taking over, he said he'll start the foreign secretary level dialogue. So why is this happening, and what is happening on the LOC?
What is happening of the LOC, I'll try and explain. First of all, Pakistan has exactly the same feeling among the public. Why this LOC? Why are the Indians doing this? Why are they destabilizing this? This is a mirror image. The reality is, Bharat, that I have seen some individual actions in this line of control area, where some young Turk on your side or our side starts some small pataha. He does something stupid. He fires or he tells he wants to capture this little knoll in between. He does something just to prove that he's a great soldier. Escalates. His whole chain of command supports him. And the other sides know the truth dies with the firing of the first bullet. I don't think you know who started it. And this, I was quite convinced that it was India which started it, not because of the direction of Mr. Modi, but because of some little fellow down there. And then the rest of the country and the leadership becomes the band. This is what happens. So what
if the tail can wag the dog, then God save us. Then everything else that we say about improving relations will never happen.
Yeah, but to me the answer is that you control the tail, that it doesn't wag the dog. We set up a mechanism where, I've been given a number of proposals. This is a tactical thing. I will not go into it. I've been given a number of proposals where the first bullet is fired, the thing is frozen by both sides. They don't retaliate. They report this. And there are other mechanisms you can. So you tie the tail down. Don't let it wag you.
Okay, I hope that happens. Now, let me move to what you were saying earlier about how business and trade can improve ties. And everybody agrees that trade between the two countries should be normalized. Yet that never happens. And there's a reluctance on Pakistan's part to give India the MFN status, most favored nation status, or as it's now called the NDMA, non-discriminatory market access status.
Yes. That's a better handle, I think.
No, but why is it a better handle? And why is it that it is easy to give MFN status to all the other countries but not to India?
Yes, there are some misgivings and some mistrust issues. And then some of our business people, they cry murder and they say we'll be swamped by Indian goods, our industry will be destroyed. But my personal view, I think we have trade, it's good for both countries. And I think slowly we are moving towards that.
But, MFN, the objection to the term was because of its Urdu translation. Right?
Most favored nation. You mean Baki jinse trade, we are trading with others? These are number one.
Yaron ka yar mulk. So that means the misgiving is in the public.
Yes, it is in the public.
Now, is it because the NDMA or most favored nation status is a problem with the public? Then how do we say that there's a peace constituency in Pakistan?
No.
I mean, here are people who want peace.
No.
They also don't want to give normal trade relations.
Yeah, but it doesn't equate. There are people who want peace, but I've had many discussions on this. People like I'll say, don't kick the trade door open. Don't kick it open, open it incrementally. Go slowly. There are not only misgivings among our traders that we'll be swamped. I don't think they'll be swamped. Yeah, China is trading with us like crazy. And if they haven't been able to swamp us, I don't think you'll be able to swamp us too. But these are actual misgivings, and then they go down to the public. But basically, these are misgivings. I, for example, noticed that the traders, the business council in Lahore is for it. The business council in Karachi is not for it. Why? Because the Karachi council members are producers, manufacturers, auto parts, this, that, the other. And they fear that they'll be hit. Yeah. The Lahore traders are very happy because they'll trade anyway.
Okay. Could it also be that Pakistan doesn't want to give NDMA status to India because then the next stage becomes more difficult? The next decision would be transit to Afghanistan, transit to Central Asia. So are there some people who would still want to block India in Afghanistan and Central Asia?
Bharat, I will only respond by saying something which one of your Indians had told me. And he had said, you boast of being the economic corridor. You boast of being the trade corridor. How can you be that if you keep the biggest nation out?
Fair enough. So that's your answer. Now let me ask you quickly about Kashmir. What does Pakistan want in Kashmir? Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and General Pervez Musharraf had come out with the 4-point formula, which actually assumed a real life of its own after Musharraf went. The 4 points were, borders remain sacrosanct as they are.
Yes.
The greater movement of people across the border. 3, violence to be brought down, army to be thinned, and 4, self-governance and joint mechanisms on various issues.
Quite right.
Now, is there a backtracking on this in Pakistan? Now people are again talking of UN resolution?
Because there are people, you have some Turks in the Foreign Office who say, oh, that was a very principled stand and we must stick to it, and if you lose the principled stand, nothing is left. So there are such people, they were there before, they are now. Because Musharraf is gone, his strength has gone, so it's easy to bash on his point of view.
But it was a good formula.
I think so.
You think it can be revived?
Well, if not that, something similar to that. I think now, Bharat, my view is there's a time we take a fresh look at everything.
All right.
There's a fresh leadership you have, and he's got a different style from your previous prime minister. So, maybe we need a new approach.
Thank you. Thank you. On that hopeful note, we've come to the end of this discussion. I'd like to thank you for coming here. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure.
And come again soon.
Thank you.
And
Will
let's hope your efforts for peace between India and Pakistan succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have for you today. We'll be back again with another issue next week. Till then, goodbye.